Alright, we keep throwing a code for the O2 sensor. So one of the suggestions in the code book is to test the wiring. So here we are sitting with a wiring harness off the top of the transmission, right? This is the entire wiring harness. This is like the range sensor plug. This is like a plug for another little 2 wires, probably like a vehicle speed sensor or something. One of the banks, probably bank 2 downstream. Another downstream sensor for the other side, bank 1 probably. And then over here is the only upstream sensor that we have that connects to the manifold.
That's the one in question, actually.
Yeah, actually, yes. And so here's an extra sensor, O2 sensor, that we have outside of the car. We already have one in the car, and we have this one outside of the car. Both of these sensors are used, but they're both reading lean. And that says sensor biased, lean. I think the code is, you remember the code?
Stuck lean.
Something 97, and tail end 2197?
2197, yeah.
P2197. So, yeah, there's not enough information about why this thing would throw in code. So, I checked the fuel pressure. It has its own sensor. If fuel pressure pump is low, it'll throw that code. There's no problems there. We've checked everything else. We've checked the...
Has airflow?
We have to change the mass airflow sensor just for the hell of it.
Check the EGR.
Check the EGR. Changed out the EGR just for the heck of it. Changed the throttle body. Changed all of that. Changed we were getting the Wookiee yodel on the
IAC.
IAC. We changed that out. That's the third IAC on the car now. We got rid of the Wookiee yodel, but we still got this bank lean bank sensor 1 whatever popping up. And we thought maybe there's a break in the wiring. So we just wired this whole thing out and we ohmed it out. We got no problems. We took and held it there for the longest time and pulled on the wires and yanked them in different manners and ways to see if it would cause a problem, and it doesn't. We've checked all the plugs, the prongs, made sure they were all there and intact, straight. We accounted for the missing one there. We accounted for the missing one there. That's legitimate. It's factory. We even made a cute little wiring diagram. If you want to need this in the future, go ahead and pause it and freeze frame it on your phone or whatever you got, and you can see what we've mapped out. Now this is only for the oxygen sensors and the ground to the oxygen sensor. You can see the ground, the gray-red, connects over to the range sensor, and then it gets its power from this one lone plug right here that connects up by the engine. And these two go by the engine right here. They connect up by the engine. Yeah, I find that really odd that we found no breaks in the wire. And so now we've been through the wiring portion of this, and now we're going to move on from there until we finally find the problem.
So what's left?
I don't know. It's not too much left. I mean, here's what happens. The car shimmies and shakes to learn its idle. It learns its idle. Once it learns its idle, it throws a code. And the code is bank 1 sensor whatever lean bias stuck the 2197. Once it throws the 2197, the idle quits idling rough, smooths out. Once we put a reader in, and we clear the codes, as soon as we do that while the car is running, it idles rough again until it, I guess, relearns an idle, then throws a code again. So what's left? I don't know. To change the whole damn
PCM? I mean, that's a little extreme.
It is extreme, but it's PCM. And then we're going after catalytic converter. That's all there is to it. The car runs like great. I don't know how a catalytic converter can cause a lean. I would think it would be rich. I think it would be stuff in the engine, But there's no excess back pressure signs, from a clogged catalytic converter.
No clogged exhaust system anywhere.
Right, and there's no leaks in the exhaust system. I know that if I restrict some of the air from going into the intake, it takes longer for the check engine light to come on. Meaning...
It really is running lean, almost.
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, it seems like there's a vacuum leak somewhere in the intake. But it's a brand new, crappy Dorman intake. Brand new Dorman brand intake. With good gaskets. So, and it runs good when it does run. So, what could it be? I don't know. Anyway, this is an idea of if you need a wiring diagram for you're having O2 sensor problems and you're getting down to this portion where you're trying to figure out, and like I said, this is for an 03 Grand Marquis. This is probably the same for the Crown Vics and everything else. It may change for dual exhaust, but this is single exhaust with the crossover. So I don't see, it crosses over way after the converters. So this is probably the same for the dual exhaust too. I don't know. You'd have to be the judge of that. But this is, I hope this helps somebody. It isn't a video for nothing, but it's documented a couple of hours of testing different things and removing this harness. I'm glad we did remove it because we do have to replace the transmission mount in the car anyway. It's dilapidated, it's falling apart. It probably ride a lot better and shift a lot better with a new transmission mount. So we'll put all this back together. We'll see if we get lucky and there's no check engine. I know that's not possible, but we'll go after something else and then we'll come up with what it is eventually. These are specific problems for specific vehicles. So it's in an event, it's useful, it's unlikely, but still it's documented. And we thank you for watching. All right. All right, so underneath the hood is the fourth O2 sensor right here. This is the connector for it, and this is attached to the engine wiring harness right here. So this is the wiring harness that runs around the engine and catches all the coil packs and such. This drapes down the back of the engine and connects to, on the passenger side, on a metal sleeve that has a couple of holes drilled in it, 3 holes, and it attaches there, and it bolts to the bell housing of the transmission, and then it drapes down and catches that harness that we looked at a few minutes earlier inside. So yeah, so this is your other, and here are your color schemes for it. If that focuses for you, barely. So yeah, this is what we got. So it's got that same gray, red, brown, yep, all of those, and this goes straight on and connects over there, over by the PCM, along with the rest of this, the bulk of this harness, which I'll show you on the driver's side. And that's all a part of, right here, see, comes, drapes over the valve cover, connects into a main wiring harness. This right here is the majority that connects to the transmission. This gray plug here. And so if you disconnect this while the car is running, it'll throw a flashing OD light, overdrive light, and then it'll also, when you kill the vehicle, you won't be able to restart it. Does something with disabling the ground to the starter, I think. But yeah, that's the main harness coming in. So I hope that kind of helps somebody. This is all the stuff that we've been tracing out to make sure we don't have a wiring problem, and that's a hell of a thing to have to do. It'd be one thing to know you have a wiring problem because you've done everything else and you know there's a wiring problem, then actually looking through your wiring harness to find whether or not you have a wiring problem. That's a totally different thing. It's much harder to do because you're not even sure if you're looking for that or not. You're looking for it, but you're not even sure if you have it. And so that's a pain in the butt, and I don't think we're going to do too much more of that. I think we're pretty clear that we don't have a wiring problem here, but we're noting how everything works out, you know. And so you do want to make sure that these plugs are clean and dry, mostly dry. I don't think a little grit or sand or anything would hurt them. I think what would hurt them is water or anything else that could short those out. That would be a big problem there. All right, thanks for watching.